Hello. Sorry if it's a bit wibbly wobbly today. We are in my son Ned's bedroom, which isn't as tidy as it could be. My mum has sold her house and she's moving, as Ned has just started to want to read, well, have longer stories read to him at night rather than kind of picture books. I thought I would go and get a load of books that she's kept from when we were little. Ned quite likes girls stuff, so a load of books that I thought, having two boys, I might not get to read. I'm going to try and get them in case it's just a phase and he doesn't like girly stuff very much. But then maybe boys like reading about ponies too. There's a lot of pony books, but I thought we'd have a look and see, because there's a load of old favourites. Okay, so the thing that started it all off was this. We got this from his cousin. They were clearing out their books, and he wanted to read a book about 6 cousins. He's got lots of cousins, so I think he thought that was exciting. And I've never read it, and it is terrible. It's awful. It's painful to read, which is what was making me think, gosh, if I could find the famous 5 books, that would be so much better. And I have to do a lot of self-editing here. The thing about Enid Blyton is she does say, you know, she thinks they're a terrible sissy, she thinks they're blah, blah, blah. And obviously if you have a 4-year-old who's at school, you're trying to get him to be nice to everyone and accept that everyone's different and not say that people are fat and not say that people are ninnies and stuff. So I've been self-editing a lot with that one, whereas with the famous 5, I feel like I remember there being less of that, but maybe my mum self-edited when she read it to me. The House at the Corner is another Enid Blyton. My grandmother used to read this to me and my sister when we were on holiday in Cornwall, and we used to eat chocolate in bed in the morning and let my parents have a lie-in, and we'd read that. There's the Moomins, which she's desperate to read, but I'm sort of one of those people that has to read things in order, and I can only find these 2, and I can't tell if this could be the first one, but I need to check it anyway. Millie Molly Mandy. This is really nice because it's short stories, which I think he'd like. William, for if he starts liking boy stuff. And then we've got these, which are all famous 5. 5 on Treasure Island. Oop, hello camera. 5 on Treasure Island. 5 Fall into Adventure. The Naughtiest Girl as a Monitor. So, you know, so some of these I think he's definitely still too young for, but the famous 5 I think he'd be good for him. Millie Molly Mandy I think he'd like. Jennings, I loved Jennings, but I think he's too little for Jennings. The Old Nurse's Stocking Basket is a lovely short stories with the sort of theme of the old nurse running through it, so I love that. So I'm trying to kind of put them into stuff he'll read now, stuff he'll read later, short stories, horse and pony stories. I can but try. Then we get into the realms of possibly should just go in the bin. The Saddle Club. I literally read everything of the Saddle Club. Then we have a whole box of other stuff. And it all smells really musty. Does anyone have any tips? I know bicarbonate soda. Also had fabric softener sheets. Does anyone try something that works? The Treasure Hunters, Enid Blyton. Moomin Valley in November. Ginny, does anyone remember these? I was so desperate for a chestnut Arab. Little Women. More for me really. Oh, this book. The Jolly Postman, you can still get this. More Saddle Club. I mean, that look, 44. 44. 28. And the thing is, I know that if there's a 44, the chances are I got to 44 in order. So, look, that chestnut Arab again. The Story of the Treasure Seekers. by E. Nesbit. Mallory Towers. You see, I think he's just never gonna... We're never gonna get to these. Maybe I'll have a girl one day. Then there's another pony series. If there was like a pony series to get into Silver Brumby stories, then I would be into it, basically. What else do we... What are these? More Jennings. See, so what age do we think is Jennings' age, and what have you read to your 4-year-olds that wasn't like, you know, a picture book? The Saucy Jane Family. That's not even focusing. Saucy Jane Family by Enid Blyton. I loved that book. Lots of Dick King Smith. Look, Jill's Pony Trek. Flambards. I mean... Oh, and do you remember these? I couldn't really bear to throw it out. Murder on a Plane. The adventure books. Which I think we used to get bought when we were going to Cornwall, which in the 90s, 80s and 90s took about 10 hours. We used to like get in at 5 in the morning with our duvets. 5 run away together. I mean, he's very into that kind of thing at the moment. Nancy Drew. Ride On Sister Vincent. I remember that was one of the first books I read to myself. And I loved it. The Ghost of Thomas Kemp. We read that at school. Anne of Green Gables. The Would-Be Goods, which I don't remember. But maybe it'll all come back to me. More Famous 5. See, Granny's Wonderful Chair. Where's the Magic Faraway Tree? I remember that being very good. Fly By Night, do you remember? Those of you who are into ponies, Fly By Night. Ooh. The Children of Noisy Village. From when my mother was small. That's a Swedish one. Jill's Gymkhana. A Stable for Jill. Pony Envy. Still gives me Pony Envy. Pong Whiffy. He'll be into that because it's a witch. He likes the witches. Yeah. Any advice on how to make them smell less? They don't feel damp. They were in a plastic bin in the sheds. But they just smell a bit musty. So I'm putting them on his chest of drawers, and I'm going to leave them out as long as possible to kind of de-must on their own. But any tips would be really helpful. Also, what do you read your 4-year-old? As I've mentioned, it can be boysy or girlsy. He quite likes Pugwash, but he seems to be really, I mean, once he's seen the Moomins, now he doesn't really want to read Six Cousins anymore. He wants to go on to reading the Moomins. And I should probably just capitulate because Six Cousins isn't very good. But I'm one of those people who finds it really hard to stop a book halfway through. So we'll see who wins that one. Also, I'm a bit like, something's got to happen. They've all just slagged each other off for 12 chapters. Something's got to happen. So yeah, book advice for little boys who like girl stuff. I know he's too young for Harry Potter, but what age did your kids read Harry Potter? Because Joe's never read it, and I have read the first couple and loved them. So we're both really excited about when Harry Potter is a go. He really likes the Greek myths. We went through a phase of having to read him the Greek myths all night. But he does have nightmares, and I actually was like, do you know what, I think maybe we shouldn't have Greek myths before bed, because he has nightmares about monsters. And so yeah, let me know your recommendations. A little side note, we went to his cousin's birthday party, and he ate 4 packets of those Pom Bears, and I was like, oh, I think they'll make you sick if you eat too many. And he was fine, annoyingly, as children are. And he then had a nightmare that night, and I came running in, and his dad came running in behind me, and he was kind of really upset, and I just was like, there's no point to us being here. So I made his dad go back to bed. And I was trying to find out what the nightmare had been about, and he was like, oh my god, I was being chased by a massive Pom Bear, or a Pumbaa Bear as he calls them, and then when you came in, mummy, there was a massive Pumbaa Bear next to you. And I was like, what what, was he half awake? Was he having a weird night terror? And then I realised he had his nightmare about the Pumba bear, and then when his dad came in, he thought his dad was a giant Pumba. Anyway, nothing scary then, and see you soon-ish. Next week, maybe? I don't know.